Friends, I welcome you to my channel. Before listening to this story, I will ask you to like and subscribe. It is not difficult for you, but it is pleasant for me. And we're starting. Tom had just returned from a 2-week business trip and slept for a long time on Friday morning until he heard voices downstairs. He heard his wife Tammy's voice and thought she was talking on her cell phone, but then he heard a man's voice. After going to the bathroom, he put on gray sweatpants and headed downstairs. "Oh my God, that's great," Tammy said. "You're really going back to town." Tom slowly moved around the corner and saw a tall blonde man sitting across from her at the kitchen table. "Hey, what's going on?" "Tom, do you remember when I told you that my childhood best friend could move back to the city? He's here. It's Sam." "Sam," he repeated. All these years he thought Sam was short for Samantha, and decided that Tammy's best friend was a woman. "Oh wow, that's great, honey." He felt goosebumps run through his body. He immediately noticed that the well-built man was not wearing an engagement ring. "Tom, Tammy has told me so much about you, so much that I feel like I've known you for a very long time." He stood up and held out his hand to shake. Tom wasn't ready for the death grip and squeezed his eyes shut in pain as the strong fingers tightened more and more. Oops, sorry." Sam chuckled before letting go of his hand. Tom shook his hand, wondering if anything was broken. "So when are you actually moving back in?" "The van delivered my stuff yesterday, so I have a lot of work to do." "Honey, I know we talked about taking the boat apart today, but Sam needs help, and I told him I'd stop by this afternoon. You can come too if you're not busy." "Did you talk?" "We agreed to take the boat out of the dry dock and start it up to prepare for tomorrow's trip with Gina and Greg on the lake." Sam interrupted. "It's all right. I have a week to get the house in a livable condition." Tom could see that his wife was upset. "Hey, you know what? First, I need to start the engine and have the mechanic check everything. Go and help Sam." She smiled and moved over to hug him. When she stood up, he saw that she was wearing a very thin robe, and he could tell that there was no bra. He was about to kiss her lips, but she turned and kissed him on the cheek. "Oh, Sam also doesn't have any electricity or water, so I told him he could stay in the spare bedroom until Monday or Tuesday. It's okay, right? Tom has heard enough." "It was nice meeting you, Sam." He turned and walked back upstairs. As he stood naked, adjusting the temperature of the shower water, he heard the door open. "It was rude," she said. "To just leave like that." He was trying to contain his anger. "Damn it, Tam. I've told you 3 times that you need to take care of the boat today. Besides, how long have you known that the boy Sam is moving here?" "A few weeks, but I forgot to tell you, and I'm as surprised as you are that he just showed up here this morning. Why are you acting like this? He's just a friend, that's all." "Just a friend for whom you abandoned our plans with me today to help him. Go and help him move in. I do not care. Now go away and let me take a shower, please." "Tom, you're being unreasonable, and I'm not going to talk to you when you're like this. I'll talk to you later about dinner." She turned and left. As she finished breakfast, she thought about her relationship with Sam. It all started in the 3rd grade on the school playground when another boy tripped her, causing her to fall and scrape her elbow. She was about to get up and swing at him when she saw him flying face first into the swing. "Thank you," she said to the unfamiliar boy and stood up, rubbing her elbow. "Are you new here?" "Yes, I'm Samuel." He grinned. "Your hand is bleeding and you need to go to the nurse." "I'll come with you." After that, they did everything together. At the age of 9, they loved playing video games and watching movies on TV. Everyone teased them that they were in love, but they both said they were only friends. A month later, they were playing on the same football team and loved roller skating on Saturday mornings. Sam practically moved into Tammy's house, as his parents worked different shifts at the hospital. He started going on vacation with her family to the beaches of Delaware, and her parents treated him like a son. It went on like this all through high school, but the sleepovers stopped. Things got awkward, but they kept hanging out with other friends. They dated other people, but they never got romantically involved. A month before the prom, he asked her to go with him. "With you?" She chuckled. But when she saw his face, she realized that she had ruined everything. "I mean, you're like a brother to me." And again she saw how sad his face was. Forget what I asked," he snapped. He started to get up from the couch and leave, but she grabbed his arm. "Let me go." "Stop and listen to me. I love you, Sam, but you're my best friend forever, and I don't want to lose that." He took a deep breath and sat back down. "I know and feel the same way, but I don't have a date, and it's just going to be fun, no romance. You are special to me, and I want to remember this ball for the rest of my life. Sam rented a tuxedo and a limo and stood proudly in the doorway before ringing the doorbell. Tammy's mom, Betty, answered and gasped. "Oh my God, look at you. You're not a boy anymore." "Damn," her father said, approaching his wife. "Do I have to worry about what you're going to do after graduation?" Sam blushed. "No, sir, my intentions are noble. You have nothing to worry about." "Dad, let him in, please," Tammy screamed. The door opened and Sam froze because her dress was beautiful and clung to every inch of her body. For the first time, he noticed her cleavage. "Wow." Tammy blushed. "Come in, silly. It's just me." After Betty took a picture of them together, hugging and even kissing lightly on the lips, they hurried to the limo. "I feel like Cinderella," she whispered, sinking down next to him and holding his strong hand. "And tonight, you are my prince." They were both completely caught up in the moment when they were dancing. She put her head on his shoulder. For the first time, she felt his arousal with the upper part of her stomach and grinned, moving even closer. When the lights dimmed and the music started, she tilted her face back and closed her eyes. She didn't have to wait long for their lips to touch and their tongues to meet and play together. They didn't notice how they were photographed by a photographer for the annual graduation album. "Tammy, I thought that you don't want to," he whispered. "I also want tonight to be special, just for today, and tomorrow we will be best friends again forever." They kissed again, but with more passion than before. The rest of the night passed in a fog as they hurried to the limo and spent the next hour or so at the motel, where the available rooms sign was still lit. They hugged and kissed for a while before undressing in total darkness and hurrying under the covers. Their foreplay consisted of many caresses. He pushed into her once and felt that he was about to reach a climax. They hugged and suddenly started laughing. "I think we're better as friends than lovers," she giggled. A few minutes later, they dressed shyly, and he called a limo to take them home. "Well, it ruined everything," she joked as they kissed lightly on her doorstep. After the ball, they stopped dating, and a few months later they went to college, far from each other. Just before he left, he wrote her a letter apologizing for going to the hotel with her and hoping she didn't hate him. She saved his letter for future memories. During the Christmas holidays, she was surprised when he rang her parents' doorbell, holding a gift in his hands. "Sam, what are you doing?" "Here." "Tammy, I've missed my best friend so much it's killing me. We screwed up at the prom and I want to see if we can completely forget about it and start over." Tears were streaming from her brown eyes. "Oh my God, yes. I want my best friend back." She jumped into his arms and hugged him until her mom came to the door. "Who's there? Sam? It's you? Thank God you've made up. Come in and join us for dinner." For the next 4 years, they spent vacations and summers together, but they never managed to become best friends again. After graduating from college, he called and said that he had left with the girl he was dating and was now married. Nevertheless, they continued to correspond every month. "I still value our friendship," Sam wrote to her one day, "but my wife is very jealous, and when I told her about you, she lost her temper and said I had to break up with you, otherwise, she just can't accept that we could be so close and not sleep together. I understand, and I will be there for you if you need a friend again. Take care of yourself and know that you are special to me." That was the last she heard from him until a few months ago when he emailed her that he was moving back to the city. He wrote that he is now divorced and needs to return to his roots, and he hopes that they can resume their special close friendship. Thus, the flow of emails and messages resumed, returning to the present. Tammy had put on jeans and a loose t-shirt and was sitting at the table when Tom came down the stairs. She expected him to go into the kitchen, but he went down the hall towards the garage. She hurried to meet him at the door. "Are you just going to leave without saying anything?" He wasn't looking in her direction. "I have nothing to say. Obviously, you do too. I want to know if you're going on the yacht with Greg and Gina tomorrow, or if you're going to play house with your boyfriend." "Fuck you, Tom. You're acting like a big jerk, and it pisses me off. Besides, I told you that Sam—" Before she finished, he closed the door. "Well, it really sucks," Tammy sighed. Her best friend returned to her, but it built a wall between her and her husband. Sam had told her that his wife always got upset when he mentioned his special friendship with her, and now the same thing was happening in her life. She called Sam, told him about Tom, and asked when she could stop by his place. "Tammy, I think we need to cool off. It's pretty obvious that Tom doesn't want me to stay at your house until Monday. Besides, you should go help him get the boat ready. I wouldn't have asked you to help me unpack if I'd known you already had plans. He's acting like an idiot, and I'm coming to help you. I have your address and I'll be there soon. While I'm being stupid for nothing, Tom told himself later that day after the mechanic checked the outboard motor. She says they've always been just friends, and she's never lied to me before. I'll buy some beer on the way home and try to make friends with this guy. When he drove into the garage, he noticed that her car was still missing, and it was almost 6 p.m. He checked his phone and didn't see any messages. First, she dumped me to help him unpack, and now she doesn't even text me to tell me when she's coming home or if we're having dinner. Damn, I have to stop talking to myself. 30 minutes later, he was getting out of the shower and heard them laughing on the ground floor. He stood on tiptoe again and listened. You look so serious in your graduation photo, Sam laughed as they looked at her old school yearbook. Hey, you looked like a nerd, she exclaimed, bending down and hitting his strong arm. He kept laughing, and suddenly she jumped on his back and made him fall sideways onto the couch next to her. When Tom came in, her upper half was lying on his body, and she was hitting him lightly. Well, what's so funny? Sam quickly picked her up and took her off. We were just looking at old school photos. He hoped Tom wouldn't get mad that their bodies were so close. When Tom laughed, he relaxed a little. Haha, I don't remember seeing these photos. Show them to me. Tammy was still furious and wasn't ready for her husband to move to the couch and squeeze in between her and Sam. Is that really you, Tam? She relaxed, hoping that her husband would not behave as before. She put her arm around his shoulders. Yes, it's me. Am I not beautiful? She joked. For the next half hour, Sam and Tammy showed him the other kids from their class, and everyone became relaxed and calm. Let's order pizza, Tom suggested. Unless you two have already eaten. Sorry, baby, we didn't have lunch and we're hungry. We thought you ate something at the lake, so we went to Maggie's and bought a burger. You could call or text me, he said, trying not to show his resentment at being ignored. I think I'll call and order myself a small pizza. Okay, I'll show Sam the spare bedroom and get him some towels to take a shower. I'll take it too, and then we'll all talk so that you guys can get to know each other better. She bent down to kiss him, and again only on the cheek. After Tom ordered pizza delivery, he heard the shower turn on upstairs, sat down with a beer, and looked at the album again. He saw her picture and Sam's comment that they would always remain best friends. Flipping through other photos, he saw pictures from the prom and wondered who Tammy's date was. He froze when he saw the picture of her sitting at the table next to Sam. Just friends, right? Turning the page, he almost dropped the album. She was in Sam's arms in a close dance. Their eyes were closed and their parted lips were kissing. To hell with that, he sighed, throwing the album across the room. When it landed and opened, a small envelope fell out of it. He came over and saw that it was addressed to Tammy. Opening it, he quickly read the letter and threw it on top of the yearbook. After a few seconds, he grabbed the car keys and left the house. Tammy felt good and smiled as she put on cotton pajamas, a bathrobe, and slippers. She knew that Tom would be happy that tomorrow she would go on a boat with their friends. She heard the doorbell ring, meaning that the pizza had already been delivered, and she heard it over and over again. He's probably in the bathroom downstairs, she thought, and hurried downstairs to open the door. It's all paid for, ma'am, the young man said, handing her a flat box. She brought it into the kitchen and shouted, Your pizza is here, Tom. She didn't hear anything and started looking for him. He wasn't in the bathroom, and when she looked into the room, she saw an open album on the floor and an open letter that Sam had written to her many years ago. No, please, no. It was the same letter in which Sam had mentioned that he had gone to a motel with her after graduation. She collapsed to the floor and saw Sam's bare feet next to her. What happened? Sam asked, kneeling down next to her. Tom found and read the letter you sent me. Damn it, Tam. I thought you tore up this letter. How are we going to fix this? Tammy took the phone from her purse on the hall table and called Tom. Beeps, beeps, until finally it sounded. Hi, this is Tom. Leave a message. Beep. Tom, please come back and let me explain everything. The prom and the motel were a big mistake and were terrible for both of us. Trust me when I tell you that we are just good friends. Darling, I only love you and I want you to be the only one in my bed. Please come home. She waited for over an hour and called again. Meanwhile, Sam was watching TV and waiting to see if Tom would call her back. It was 11 o'clock when he went upstairs and packed his bag. Tammy was sitting at the kitchen table looking at the phone. She looked up and saw that he was dressed and holding his small bag. "Where are you going?" "I've created enough problems. I remember what it did to my wife when she found out about you and our special friendship. I will not be the reason for your divorce as it happened to me. Call me when you're alone." She wanted to object to him staying, but she knew it would be better if he left for now. In the meantime, she needed to reduce the damage. "Okay, I'm really sorry about what happened." She moved closer to him to hug him and did not want to let him go. She tilted her head back and looked into his eyes. They suddenly realized that this closeness was the reason Tom was so angry. "Good night." He returned the favor and left. She sent Tom a message. "Sam has left, so please come home and let's talk. Please, I love you, honey." She sat on the couch until 1 o'clock in the morning, when she felt herself falling asleep. The next moment, she realized that it was already light outside. After visiting the bathroom in the hall, she looked into the garage and saw Tom's car. "He's home," she whispered to herself. Tom entered the house after 2 o'clock in the morning and saw his wife sleeping on the couch. He considered waking her up, but was still upset that she had lied about Sam and her being just friends. No matter what their current relationship was, there was no way he could trust both of them. There was only one way out for him now. He was also awakened by the bright light of the morning sun. "Good morning," Tammy whispered, nibbling on his ear. "I'm so glad you came home." Her hand moved to his thigh and slipped under his pajamas. He thought she was going to climb on top of him like a cowboy, which was her favorite position, but instead she lifted the blanket and ran her lips over his chest and abs. "Tom, what happened? What did you two do after I left last night? How can you blame me for this? I've never cheated on you and I never will. I didn't tell you about that night with Sam because it didn't mean anything, and besides, it was long before I met you. We're just friends, and when you get to know him better, you'll understand that. It's time to make a decision for you, Tammy. You have to choose, him or me." "Oh my God, you're serious, aren't you?" "What if I don't choose?" "Not making a choice is the same as choosing him. I'm going on a yacht with Greg and Gina today, and I'll be back around 8 p.m., so you have this time to make a decision." "Tom, you're acting like an idiot. I know you're on good terms with Marianne at work. What if I tell you that you have to choose between her and me?" "It's not the same thing. You have time until I get back." "Tom, wait." But he was gone, and she collapsed on the bed crying. "So where's Tammy?" Gina asked, leaning on Tom's arm as she boarded the boat. "A friend came to town to see her without warning, and she stayed at home. So the three of us stayed. Actually, Greg and I are having some problems right now, so I decided to join you and Tammy. Damn, I really need company right now. I promise to be a gentleman," he chuckled, looking at the pretty brown-haired woman who was his college friend, whom he introduced Greg to 2 years ago. "Actually, I probably need your advice about something." "I trust you," she smiled, throwing her bag on the deck. "I need a rest now, too. So let's share our tips." They were silent as he steered the boat on the lake and anchored in a small deserted bay. Suddenly, several dark clouds appeared and a downpour began. They laughed and jumped into the water. While they were splashing and trying to dip each other, the sun came out and they climbed back into the boat. They took towels and dried each other. After that, they took some beer and wine and moved to the soft cushions at the back of the boat. "Who wants to be the first? What is it?" she asked. "Me," Tom sighed, leaning back into the cushioned seat. Over the next 20 minutes, he told Gina everything that had happened since he found his wife and Sam at the breakfast table. I really want to believe her, but she lied to me about the prom. Well, she hid it from you, it's true, and it looks like Sam is more than just a best friend, but I can't believe she cheated on you. Can a man and a woman be such close friends and having crossed the line once, do it again? I mean, his ex-wife thought there was more to them than just friendship. Maybe it is, but I just don't know. I asked her to choose between us, and she didn't seem to want to. I don't know. I mean, you and I were friends before we married Greg, and I have special feelings for you too. When we had a fight recently about money and my job, you were the first person I wanted to talk to. Maybe that's the point. She can't understand how I can think that something else is going on, so maybe we'll do the same. I mean, as long as it doesn't ruin your relationship with Greg. Actually, it might work for me too. He takes me for granted, and I haven't seen flowers or dates in months. Great, so what are your plans for tomorrow? Well, since we both love tennis, why don't I pick you up tomorrow and we'll spend the day at the club? And also, these two seem to think that touching each other and fighting is okay. It sounds good, but let's not go too far because I've always been partial to you. Yes, me too, he grinned, looking at her beautiful elastic tanned thighs. Tammy still had tears in her eyes and was nervous looking at her watch. When it was about 6 p.m., she decided to call Gina and find out where they were. When she didn't answer, she called Greg. Hi, Tammy, how are you? He was sitting alone at home watching the NFL game. She could hear the noise of a football match in the background. Did you come back from a boat trip? I didn't go. I decided to stay at home. Aren't you on a boat? I didn't go either, it's difficult. It's also difficult. Gina and Tom must have gone together. I think so. Do you want to talk about it? What is it? She asked, slightly worried that Tom was alone with Gina all day. She said that I no longer pay attention to her and treat her like a maid and a cook, that she doesn't have any friends or interests outside of our house. He hesitated. So I told her to get off her ass and do something. Obviously, this was the wrong decision. She said she would go on the yacht and do something without me. So that's it. Her phone buzzed, and she saw Sam's name. We have to go. Good luck. Hi, she said sadly into the phone. Have you heard anything? What are you going to do? I'll understand if you say we have to cut all ties. We screwed up with this letter, and it's not like we'll never screw up in the future if it's already happened. Don't worry, I have other friends. Very sorry. I'm sorry, Sam, but Tom is everything to me, and I can't lose him. Maybe someday he will understand our friendship. Goodbye. She hung up the phone and started crying again. Later that day, she decided to meet the boat at the pier. Tom and Gina were heading to the docks when he saw his wife standing on the pier. Look, she's here. Come and hug me. I'd love to, she giggled. It turns me on, he moaned as her little finger slid down under her shorts and rubbed her pubic hair. She teased him for a few seconds. The boat was moored and tied up, and Tom and Gina's hips were touching, as if they hadn't seen Tammy. Hello, they heard Tammy scream. Gina quickly moved away with a guilty look. Hi, Tam. We really missed you today. Greg couldn't make it, so it was just me and my old friend. Gina came down from the bridge without a tank top, wearing only a tiny bikini. She had to hold back her laughter as Tom turned and stared at her demonstration. She laughed and waved her right index finger at him. You're a dirty bumpkin. Tom could tell from her body language that Tammy was very tense and upset. He looked at his watch. It's only 7 p.m., so Gina and I will finish up here and meet you at home at 8 p.m. to talk. Tammy was furious with what she saw and was ready to tell him that Sam would be in her life. If you don't want to, go to hell. But she realized that it was about the same as what Tom felt when he saw her struggling on the couch with Sam. Besides, she hid the fact that Sam was moving back to the city. If he had insisted that she leave Sam, she would have done the same to Gina. Except he hadn't used Gina, at least not as far as she knew. She wasn't sure what she was going to do as she drove back to their house. It was almost 8 o'clock in the evening when she heard Tom enter the house. She was angry about what she saw on the boat between him and Gina. She feigned boredom and indifference by sitting on the couch and pretending to read a magazine. Hi, I'm home, he said loudly. Well, have you made a decision, him or me? Both of you, you're like my husband and he's like my best friend. The final answer, she said sharply without looking up from the magazine. I told you that it means you chose him. It tells me where I am. He quickly climbed the stairs and went to the shower. When he came out of the bathroom with a towel wrapped around his waist, he saw her lying on the bed in a transparent dress like a doll. What happened? It's yours and yours alone. He dropped the towel and walked over to her in the bed. I used to believe that, but now I'm not sure. You spent the whole day at his house today, and it's obvious that he's not indifferent to you. Maybe not today, but he will pester you again. I can't be sure that you will refuse. How about Gina? And you were alone on the yacht today, too. I saw her hugging you. I was wondering where her arms were wrapped around the lower part of your body. You two were friends long before we met, so how do I know you didn't do anything? First of all, I never knew that Sam was a guy. I knew that you corresponded by email, and it never bothered me. Then I heard when he showed up at my house that he had moved here. Then you rushed to help him move and drop our plan to go boating. It's only later that I find out that the two of you were at school together, kissing and making love. Gina and I were just friends. We never kissed except on New Year's Eve, and there were no tongues like in your album. You can trust me. Trust Sam and me. We don't feel that way about each other. Please, Tom, don't make me give up my best friend. I'll give it up if it becomes a big problem that comes between us, but give us a chance. She turned in his direction and reached out to grab his lame knob. It didn't last long, and soon they were kissing. "Don't stop! I love you!" she screamed, exploding with bliss. The next morning, she slept longer than usual and woke up to find that he was gone. She found a note on a small white marker board in the kitchen. "I'm playing tennis with Gina. See you later. Maybe we'll have lunch at the club. Go help Sam move in. Tom." On the one hand, she was glad Sam was back, but on the other, she was worried that Tom and Gina would be together, especially since Greg had problems with her. She called Sam. "I thought we broke up," Sam said, surprised by her call. "Everything has changed. I'll come to help you move in and tell you everything." Gina hesitated to enter the house after she broke up with Tom. She was still thinking about Tom's tight hugs and wet kiss before parting. Greg and she had been arguing about nothing lately. She finally gave vent to her anger at the fact that he took her for granted and wondered if he would change. "Hi, I'm home." "Nothing." "Hello, Greg?" "Nothing." She went into their bathroom and saw a note written on the mirror. "Things are shitty between us right now, and it's mostly my fault. I hate my job and I need to leave for a couple of weeks. I won't be in touch. Greg." "That bastard," she whispered, and picked up the phone to call him. When he went to voicemail, she hung up. "Typical cowardly act on your part, Greg. You don't solve any problems, you just turn tail and run away. I hope you find yourself because I'm washing my hands of it." She hoped that her yacht trip without him would throw him off balance, and he would begin to appreciate her again. Fortunately, she still had Tom. She wondered what happened when he ran into Tammy again. She smiled when she got the message from him. "I'll see you at the club tomorrow at 10 a.m. The fourth court is reserved." The following week, everyone calmed down. Tammy continued to help Sam with the move, and Tom and Gina got together for lunch and played tennis. No one seemed to be jealous or did anything that crossed the line between friendships. But on Friday, Greg's sister told Gina that Greg had gone on a cruise, and not alone. Gina realized that it was over and called Tom. "Could you come over? I need someone to be with me." "What happened? Has Greg returned home? Are you okay?" "No and no, but I can't talk on the phone." "Tammy and I will be at your place in a few minutes." "Tom, I just want you to come. I think Greg and I are done, and I need your company." He hoped Tammy would understand too. Tammy was putting on her pajamas when Tom entered the bedroom. She saw the worried look on his face. "What happened?" "Gina just called and said something bad had happened and wanted me to come. I'll call you later and let you know what's going on." "It's already 9 o'clock. Can't it wait until tomorrow morning?" "If it's that bad, I'll come with you." "She only wants me, honey, her best friend." He hurried into the bathroom and brushed his teeth. "Maybe you should shave and put on some cologne," she quipped, watching him spit out toothpaste. "And I think there are condoms in the nightstand." "Well, who's acting like a jerk here? You can't have both. She needs me, and I'm leaving." She left and sat down at the kitchen table while he hurried out the door. "Call me." Gina decided that Greg just needed a little break from work and from life in general. She thought he had gone to his family's lake house, but was shocked when she found out he had gone on a cruise with another woman. No wonder he treated me like a cook and a maid. A few minutes later, Tom rang her doorbell. As soon as he entered, she rushed into his arms. Her arms wrapped around his neck and her legs wrapped around his waist. He stood straight and tense. Let's close the door, okay?" His hands moved down to hold her as they turned. She started to slip, so he reached down and cupped her soft buttocks. "Oops," he blushed, kicking the door shut. And then he realized that she was wearing only a robe, and she was naked under it. He released her and felt her body pressed against his. Her fingers tried to hold on, but her weight pulled them back. He tried his best not to strain himself. "Are you okay? I knew my marriage was in trouble, but I didn't expect him to leave town with another woman. What should I do?" She tried to hug him with her soft body again, but he broke away and headed for the kitchen. "Do you have a beer?" "Damn, that's almost all we have. Greg finished off 6 bottles almost every night except for 2 nights of bowling. Damn. He probably went on a cruise with Elsie. She's a divorced woman on his bowling team. Several times when I went in there, she was hanging on it. He said it was just a flirtation, like me and you." He ignored it as he looked away from her light blue silk robe. And what do you want to do with it? I'm done with him, and I have been for a long time. I keep the money in a separate account, and I have enough if I need it. The headmaster of my school has a lawyer brother, and he said he would help me get the paperwork done. Do you mind going to the office? It's more convenient there. As they walked down the hallway, his phone buzzed. It was Tammy. He didn't answer. Will she be angry that you came here alone? I don't know. She's been in asshole Sam's house alone quite a lot since he came back. What's good for a goose, you know? Do you think they had an intimate relationship? I don't think so, because I think she wants to stay married to me, but to have him around. I don't trust him. His wife divorced him for some reason, and I need to find out why. Well, I want you to be there too. I feel so lonely right now. Even when I was working as a cook and maid, I had someone to talk to. Tears were dripping from her cheeks as she fell onto the sofa. Unable to stand her tears, he knelt down next to her and hugged her. I'm here for you. Their eyes met and their lips pressed together. Tammy tried to think of something else, but she was nervous that Tom would be seduced by this harlot. It seems that Greg and Gina's marriage was falling apart, and she did not want to become a victim of it. She fell asleep at midnight, and after a while, she heard the door open. Tom, it's you, she exclaimed, jumping up and looking around the doorway. Who else could it be unless you gave Sam the key to the house? He immediately regretted saying. I'm sorry. She looked at her watch and saw that it was 2 o'clock in the morning. It took you 5 hours to talk to her to calm her down. Maybe I should ask what the hell is going on. It's late and we're both stressed. I think we need to postpone this conversation until tomorrow morning. He sighed and struggled up to their bedroom. When he came out of the bathroom, he saw her in bed, looking at him. I love you, Tom. I love you too. No matter how tired they were, it was difficult for them to fall asleep. Tom woke up the next morning and was walking downstairs when he heard her talking to someone on the phone and stopped to listen. I can't. I told you we should take a break. I have no idea when or if we'll be able to see each other again. No, and stop sending me messages and emails. She was angry because Sam had taken her too far the last time they were together. She knew her marriage was in danger, as Tom had spent most of last night with Gina. She loved him, and wasn't going to give up on him so easily. She heard the shower turn on upstairs and hurried to make breakfast and return to her husband. Good morning, honey, she smiled, walking around the table and hugging him. I'm sorry for my comment about Gina last night. I believe that you will never cross the line with another woman, and I absolutely will not cross it with any man. Tammy, last night, Gina felt so bad and was so offended that He saw her smile turn over and her eyes turned from honey to coal. Wait. Fuck you, Tom. I didn't have anything serious with Sam and you're accusing me of all my sins. Damn you for using someone else. Eat shit, you idiot. Tammy, let me finish, please. But she turned, grabbed her purse and ran out the door. He tried to stop her, but her car had already left the house and was driving down the street when he was standing on the steps in his underpants. He ran into the house, grabbed his phone and sent her a verbal message. We didn't make love. Please let me explain and don't do what I think you're going to do. If you do, it's over between us, so please come back. She was furious and flew down the road, hurrying to Sam's house. She was wearing only black silk pajamas and no underwear. It didn't bother her because soon she would get rid of it and would be lying on her back naked with her legs wrapped around her best friend's hips. A train was traveling across the road at the railway crossing, which slowed down its movement for a long time. It gave her time to calm down and collect her thoughts. She took a deep breath and recognized the name of the street next to the tracks. Gina was still thinking about what had happened to Tom last night, how he had come to soothe the pain inflicted by her husband. He had always been her knight in shining armor, and had helped her out many times since they met in their freshman year in English classes. After talking to him about how good it is to know everything now that they don't have children, she relaxed and moved closer to him so that he could snuggle up to her while lying on the couch. None of them planned what happened next. She was distracted from her memories by the doorbell. She opened the door expecting to see Tom, but saw Tammy's angry face. She was about to say good morning when the woman's right palm hit her in the face. You should have gone after my man, shouldn't you? Gina, being stronger and heavier, lowered her head and pressed her body into Tammy's body. Both women flew out the door onto the wet lawn, which was being watered. Gina landed on top of Tammy and quickly pressed her hands to her head. "Stop it! What do you think happened last night?" Tammy growled and tried to get up and push her away, but Gina was too heavy. "Okay, I give up. Let me get up and we can talk," Tammy said, realizing she had no other choice. Both women were soaked to the skin and staggered on their hands and knees. They both looked like drowned rats. The hair on their heads was matted and twisted. "Are you okay?" a woman's voice asked. Tammy looked around and saw her elderly neighbor Elsie standing at the door next door. Tom was worried that his wife would go and ruin her marriage with Sam to get even for what she thought he had done to Gina. He hurried to get dressed and quickly drove to Sam's place. He was surprised not to see Tammy's car, but he knocked on the man's door anyway. "Open up, asshole. I know she's there." "What the hell is going on, Tom?" Sam asked, just before the enraged man shoved him hard in the back. "Hey," Sam shouted, staggering and ready to defend himself. "She's not here." "Where is she? Are you going to meet her somewhere?" Tom asked, trying to calm down. "I have no idea. She's your wife." "Well, we need to talk. Don't tell me nonsense that you only want to be Tammy's best friend. I can see in your eyes that you love her and want to see her in your bed." Sam walked past him and closed the door. "Let's talk." He led Tom into the living room and sat down opposite him on the sofa. "You're right. I love and have always loved Tammy, but she doesn't feel the same way about me. Believe me, I tried to make her love me, but she always laughed and stopped any romance between us. I thought marrying a wonderful woman would cure me, but I couldn't stop thinking about trying again with your wife. So I ended my relationship with my wife and moved here to make one last attempt. I knew I didn't have a chance when I met you, until Gina showed up. Last week, when you two were playing tennis, I took Tammy to listen to the music we listened to at school. We ended up dancing and kissing. I told her that Gina and you were probably doing the same thing, and suddenly she attacked me. "If you tell me you used her, I'll kill your pathetic ass," Tom growled. Sam held out his hand. "No, it didn't come to that, but we already undressed and went into your bedroom. If it wasn't for your damn wedding photo on the dresser, I'd have a chance." She ran into the bathroom and locked the door. I knocked a few times, but she told me to leave and that we could never be together again. I stopped all communication with her and started to move on. "If you want to hit me, come on. I deserve it." He stood up and hoped Tom wouldn't do it. He was mistaken and did not see the blow, but felt it crash into his left jaw. He fell and lost consciousness. "Where the hell is she?" He had no one to ask. Then it dawned on him. Damn, she went after Gina. Gina and Tammy were completely soaked from watering the lawn and dripping on the hallway floor. They looked at each other's tousled hair and wet, tight pajamas and suddenly realized how stupid they looked in front of Gina's neighbor. "Tom told me what happened, that you two were making love last night when he came here," Tammy said to her enemy number one. She decided to lie to get Gina to admit it. "I wish I could," Gina sighed, "but that damn man is too damn in love with you." He grabbed my head, looked into my eyes, and said, "This is not going to happen. My wife can cheat on me, but I won't do the same while we're still married." I tried again, offering him my ass, but Tammy quickly stopped her, doing what her brother had taught her years ago. She punched from her right hip up under Gina's chin. The shorter Italian woman's eyes rolled up. She pressed her back against the closet door and sank down on her ass. It suddenly became very dark for Gina. Tom drove past Gina's house but didn't see Tammy's car. He had no idea where she had gone, but decided to go to the nearest clinic to examine the fingers of his right hand. He knew that at least one of them had been broken after he hit Sam. There were a lot of people there, so the receptionist took his insurance card and he was already starting to sit down when he heard his wife's voice. "I told you I don't have a Blue Cross card because I don't have my purse with me. Let me call my husband and he can give you information." Tammy took the woman's phone and called Tom. She heard the familiar phone signal loud and clear and realized that it was close. She quickly turned around and saw that he was standing behind her and holding his buzzing phone in his hands. "What? What are you?" "The same as you," he grinned, holding up the fingers of his right hand, twisted in pain. She did the same thing. Tom looked at the girl behind the counter. "The other woman has information about our insurance. Let's sit down." Tammy followed him into a quiet corner of the waiting area. He couldn't help but chuckle, and she did the same before they leaned into each other and kissed. She pressed her lips to his ear and whispered, "I don't think any of us have any best friends anymore." We still need to work on our marriage, but how about we become best friends for each other? Tom whispered back before saying, I love you. I love you too. The epilogue. Sam packed up, moved back to his previous town, and tried to get back to his ex-wife, but she slammed the door in his face. It looks like he built a real sanctuary for Tammy in the attic of their house, which she found. After several attempts to contact Tammy again, he finally gave up and found a waitress at a nearby truck stop whom he married. Her name was Tammy. Greg picked up the clap during the cruise and passed it on to several women after returning to the city. He remarried a woman who was an excellent maid and cook. Gina decided to become a female professional boxer and fought 2 fights. Both times she was knocked out by an elusive uppercut. Tammy and Tom calmed down. They had 5 children, and none of them were named Samantha, Samuel, or Gina. End.